Welcome. Today, we're going to dive into what it really means to be a changemaker. Not just someone who talks about a better world, but someone who's actively building it, starting from the inside out. And really, the whole journey kicks off with this profound idea from Mahatma Gandhi. It's this simple, powerful truth that if we actually want to change anything, our society, our communities, even our own families, the very first place we have to start is with ourselves. So that leads us right to the core idea for today, the inside-out principle. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful concept. Basically, our external world, our relationships, the impact we have, it's almost always a direct mirror of our internal state. I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling kind of stressed or unhappy on the inside, it just leaks out? It affects how you talk to people, how you react to things. If you're at war with yourself, that conflict is going to spill over. So the bottom line is this: true, lasting change has to begin with self-awareness. That is square one. Okay, so how do we even begin that internal work? Well, it starts by questioning the things we've been told are true our whole lives, the things we just accept. You see, a lot of society's rules are like a message that's been passed down for so long, it's gotten completely twisted along the way. Let's play this out with an analogy. Imagine a game of telephone, right? You start with one clear, simple message. And then that message gets passed from one person to the next. But with every single handoff, each person's own ideas, their own biases, they subtly change it. Just a little tweak here, a small misunderstanding there. So by the time it gets to the end of the line, that original message is almost unrecognizable. It's completely different from where it started. And honestly, that's exactly how so many of our cultural norms and beliefs get formed. This breaks it down perfectly. It often starts with just one untruth, a lie. But then that lie gets repeated over and over and over again until it starts to sound like the truth. After a few generations, it becomes a tradition. And before you know it, that tradition is a totally embedded, unquestioned part of our culture. Let's look at some real-world examples. Society basically screams at us that having a lot of money in the bank equals happiness. But what's the reality? Well, as Speaker Garanga Das points out, he's a monk with a zero balance, and he might just be the happiest person in the room. Or how about this one? External beauty defines your worth. But the reality is so often smiling faces, crying hearts. Those picture-perfect lives we see scrolling on social media, yeah, that is rarely the full story. Okay, so we've kind of pulled apart the problem. So what's the solution? How do we build a new foundation, one that's based on authentic truths? Well, this brings us to our toolkit for today, a really simple, actionable framework called the GAME plan. This framework gives us 4 awesome tools. First up, G is for growth. It's simple. You can't give what you don't have, so you got to invest in yourself first. Next, A is for attention. Think of attention as the seed of love. When you give it to yourself or to others, it validates people, it empowers them. Then we have M for meditation. This is the secret key, The one place people almost never think to look for success is inside themselves. And finally, E is for energy. Change takes work. It requires real effort, both to work on yourself and to actually make a difference out in the world. Now, as you start using these tools, you're going to run smack into one of the biggest roadblocks to personal growth there is. That deep instinct to constantly compare ourselves to other people. This quote just hits so hard. It frames comparison not just as a bad habit, but as something way more destructive, a cancer of the mind that just slowly eats away at our happiness and our potential. Think about this for a second. Second place. On the surface, that sounds incredible, right? A huge achievement. But what if it isn't? And this is the heartbreaking reality. Garanga Das shared this story about a brilliant student at one of India's top universities. This student had always gotten the gold medal, always been number 1. So when he finally came in second, that comparison to his own impossible standard was so painful, he just couldn't handle it. But here's the crucial part of the story. In that exact same exam, there were other students who failed 5 subjects, and they were walking around campus totally at peace. It's such a powerful reminder that it's not our achievements that define our reality, it's our perspective. So what's the antidote? How do we fix this? It's about shifting your focus. The only healthy comparison, the only one that actually matters, is comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. That's the switch that turns comparison from a source of stress into this incredible engine for your own personal growth. And once you manage to escape that comparison trap, you can finally focus on the real goal. And the goal is not being better than other people, it's about making your own unique contribution to the world. There's this wonderful little parable that illustrates this point perfectly. A teacher gives two students the same amount of money and the exact same task. Take this empty room and fill it completely. So the two students took totally different approaches. The first one thought very literally, right? He went out and bought a bunch of cheap rags and junk and barely managed to fill a tiny corner of the room. But the second student, oh, she thought differently. With less money, she bought a single candle and one stick of incense. And with that, she filled the entire room completely twice, once with light and once with fragrance. You see, that second student was a total game changer. Her impact wasn't about more stuff or brute force, it was about a fundamental shift in perspective. She understood that the most profound contributions, the ones that really matter, often come from seeing the world in a brand new way. And this is the path of the conscious changemaker. It all starts by shutting down that comparison voice and looking inward. First, you understand your unique capability. What are you able to do? Then you focus on your capacity. How much can you do? And finally, you embrace your unique competence. How well can you do it? And from that really authentic place, you can finally make the contribution that only you can make. So we'll end with this question for you to really think about. Once you quiet all that noise from society, once you escape the trap of comparison, what is the light? What is the fragrance? What is the unique contribution that only you can bring to fill the room?